space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the USS Adequate. Our continuing mission, until we are cancelled and replaced by something far superior, to review every episode and movie of Star Trek in existence, to seek out new guests and make them very uncomfortable, to boldly go where many other Star Trek-based YouTube shows have gone before. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Treks and Trekkers throughout this planet Earth. Welcome to Trekking Up North. I am one of your hosts, Captain Goodwill, and joining me, as ever, is the delectable Geesian from the planet Honka. It's Science Officer Synoiz.
Hello there. I'm a person. I'm full of guts and meat and delicious things. Look, cut me open. You can see all my delicious wares. would you like a slab of me, please? Delicious.
How are you this week, Science Officer Synoiz, or is that a silly question?
It's a silly question. It's a silly question. You're a silly man for saying it. Silly person. Can't believe it. Silly. Stop it. It's really odd. I thought I'd feel more ooky and spooky this week running up to Halloween. And we were kind of like, hey, should we try and do a Halloween episode? And then we're like, can we actually manage to coordinate a Halloween episode? And we were like, no, so let's not. And besides, lower decks.
We can't coordinate Dick at the moment because we are just
no. I've always got time for Dick. Let's just be honest about that. I've always got time to coordinate Dick.
Dick doesn't know about it, but he's got time. We have a very, very hectic schedule between us both, so we apologise that this is coming out late, despite the fact that...
Is it late or is it early? Because we're pre-recording this and then we're just gonna shove it out. We're gonna shove it out like an unwanted stepchild. We're just gonna be like, go on, man, go to school.
Like a cursed ginger, we are just going to kick it out.
Yeah. We've given it a lunchbox full of a bit of shit and a bit of shit like a Quaker bar and like sandwiches with like a rat in them or something. And we're just like, go on, unwanted stepchild.
It's insane because thank you very, very much to Paramount for allowing us to have advanced screenings of Star Trek Lower Decks, the final season, and we thought
I love that we've got like we've got the screeners for it, but then we're still watching them after they've come out, aren't we? That's what do you think? Because we've been so busy, we got pre-screeners for it, and then still watched them after they were available to everyone.
Loads in advance.
We have failed at this.
Loads of times in advance, and then we were like, we don't have the time to actually make an episode this week, so we're reviewing them after they've actually come out.
Please keep sending screeners.
No, but thank you so much to Paramount for sending advanced screeners to us. We are very, very appreciative of that. However, we are here to review the first two episodes of the final season of Star Trek Lower Decks. And we're going to do something a little bit different tonight with Trekking Up North, because we're going to review both episodes, but we're not going to go through scene by scene and do massive analysis or anything like that. We're just going to summarise what happened in both episodes, what we liked, what we didn't like, because there is a lot to go through. And... we just have not had the time to get a live show out. It has been so bad.
It's been one of those hilarious things because I was just like, because obviously the screeners have to be watched through like a web browser because of the way that they're delivered. And I was just like, where do I watch this? And I was like, oh no, find a computer, find this and stuff. I'm trying to organize all of that. I was just like, oh no, this is way harder than just sitting down in my living room and being like, okay, turn on Paramount. I think it's nice that we're doing something different because the thing is, what we've realized is there's so many podcasts doing reviews of these that it's the thing that's important. Like the thing that is important in us covering them isn't us describing specifically like scene by scene what goes on, because you can just watch the episode. It's more our unique take on it that other YouTube shows have not gone before and not done.
Also, thank you. I need to give a shout out to Clone Star Podcast. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a guest host where we got to speak to Mike McMahon, the creator of Star Trek Lower Decks. It was one of the highlights of my year, getting to speak to him and discuss Lower Decks and his passion of Star Trek and Solar Opposites and Rick and Morty. It was absolutely amazing. So you can check that interview out on the Clone Star podcast. The link is in the description below. But we are going to kick off with our double bill review tonight with Dos Cerritos, episode 1, where we see the crew of the Cerritos encounter a quantum fissure, a tear in the space-time continuum, where they actually encounter an alternate reality Cerritos.
And I love how in any other series of Star Trek it would be this big, fancy, amazing thing, and all of them are just like, "Oh God, it's this!" Oh no,
I know.
and they're all just fully aware of what a contrived plot device it is. It's just kind of like, "Oh no, not dimensional bollocks," and it's just hilarious.
It's a bit of a yeah. They deal with it so nonchalantly, but Tendi is no longer with the crew because she's at home with her Orion family. So we don't have Tendi on the Cerritos, but we do get to see alternate reality counterparts of a full beaded Boimler, a cybernetically enhanced Rutherford. We see Tillins.
I did love it how you had it where Boimler was full bearded Riker, where they're fully confident, they're fully like they're everything our Boimler wants to be, and whatnot. And we have we have it where Mariners goes by Becky, and they're fully savvy, and they're like the captain of a starship and stuff. And you're like, how did that happen? Brotherhood has leaned massively into their cybernetics, so they're practically an android now. And then and then with Telen, it's literally the only difference between them is that one of them says remarkable and one of them says fascinating. And otherwise, they're exactly the same person. But in Vulcan terms, it's like this massive difference.
Yeah, I mean the biggest dramatic change is between Mariner and Becky Freeman. Becky Freeman is the captain of the alternate reality Cerritos. Her mother is running Starbase 80, as we hear throughout the episode. But I like the fact that Becky has the actual riding crop from Star Trek 3, from the captain of the Excelsior, has the riding crop. And both crews have to work together to sort of return the prime Cerritos back to the main reality.
And it's purely because they only want to do it because they fucking hate dimensional nonsense. They're just so frustrated at the idea of just being, oh no, it's like Janeway in time travel, where you're just like, oh God, let's just get this done with as soon as possible.
I think it's sort of a tongue-in-cheek nod to the whole multiverse craze at the moment. What that we are seeing with Marvel, because Deadpool and Wolverine also did a hot take on the multiverse thing just does not work. And when you see the Cerritos just go to another, and then just like, oh, can we just go back? Let's just work together, just send us back.
But I kind of like it, when we see these things with Marvel and whatnot in the multiverse, and we have it where all of the counterparts, they all kind of get on with each other and they all kind of sort of work together and stuff. And then in this episode, we just go, no, 90% of them hate each other. 90% of them cannot get on with. That's it. You got Billups, who's leaned into his he's obviously not a virgin anymore. He's become the king of his people.
Yeah.
And he just wears a crown and a cape and just does his normal job. And whatnot. And it's just, and they hate each other, and it's just, it's brilliant.
We've got beaded Riker. We've got Jack Ransom, who's sort of like two beefcakes, but he's got a mullet in one. We've got beaded Boimler. We've got uptight Becky, fully cybernetic Rutherford. No Tendi in this reality either.
But at least in this one, like the Mirror Universe, Tendi is doing the same thing. So it's basically oh well, Tendi's not here because she's off being a space pirate, but she deliberately leaned into it in this dimension rather than she was forced into it by her family, seemingly.
Speaking of Tendi,
But
the B plot of Tendi is obviously she has to what was it? She has to reclaim. She has to pay a debt, doesn't she, before she can be returned back to the
yeah,
Cerritos?
so basically, Dierica, her sister, who is the queen now? Yeah, is the queen of
Yeah,
their house. Yeah, the matriarch of the house. She's basically saying, "Hey, look, you have to stay a space pirate until I say you've reclaimed your debt." But then she's making it deliberately hard for her to repay her debt.
yeah.
So we have this wonderful beginning section with like Tendi, where basically this is my favorite thing because the cold open of the episode is that we get to see the collector twats. I forgot what they're called, but it's from the episode of
Oh, from the
TNG
next
where
generation. Yeah,
yeah, from TNG where basically the collector guy collects data and then tries to put them in a museum. And this is a wonderful example of Lower Decks doing its thing and basically going, hey, this bit was never explored again. Let's just expand upon that and put these people back in and stuff and make some jokes at their expense. Yeah, I really like that. But obviously, it turns out that the whole scene is a ruse and that Tendy's like undercover cover and they end up stealing their ship and all of their collectibles and stuff like that. But then De'Erica's like, hey, this still isn't going to pay off your bet, pay off your debt. However, if you do this mission for me and steal this this
it's a massive
uh,
ship. Yeah,
yeah, this like abandoned ship kind of thing,
yeah.
then I'll let you go back to Starfleet.
But we
And
see with
yeah,
her that she's not the only people. She's not the only person after this big ship because we see the blue Orions make an
have these
appearance.
ever been? I kind of I don't know if I want to complain about this or not because it's the whole thing of does anyone know what they want to do with the Orions? Because remember, it was originally the men were in charge and the Orions had the slave girls who were subjugants,
Yeah,
subjugated, yeah. And then they went, okay, let's change that. So we'll make it so that the women are secretly in charge and they rule the men with their pheromones and whatnot. And then in this one, we seem to have a crew of males, the Blue Orions, that are totally okay and not bothered by the females and not subservient to the females. And I'm like going, well, are they changing the law again just for this
no,
plot?
these are
Okay, I
from
must have missed
the
something.
these are from the animated series. These
Right,
Orions.
okay.
So they've sort of united both Orion factions, shall we say, both Orion races. So you've got blue Orions and green Orions. And I love the fact that the blue Orions call the green Orions the Orions. And it's just like, it's
Is that
pronounced
due to bad?
Orion. Yeah.
Is that due to how it's pronounced in the episode?
Yeah. And it's just like, it's pronounced Orion. And it's so
Oh, it
funny
must have been
because
so amazing to speak to the creator of this and just be like, what did it feel like being able to just pick up all these random plot lines and threads from all over the shop
but it's
and be like,
so funny because they actually bring the old uniforms from the 70s animated series. So right there, like that is the
yeah,
uniforms that they wore in the animated series episode. And it's just like it's such a deep cut that not many people would know about it.
I didn't. I genuinely, I
Yeah.
was that's why I'm asking the question of like, where have these guys come from,
But we see back, I mean, with the Cerritos and the alternate reality crew, we see that the main crew are learning from each other. Where Boimler is learning that his version, his bearded version, is more loosey goosey and is more chill, not
Mhm.
as uptight, and he goes with the flow. And Boimler is learning from him, like not
And
to
he's
be,
more successful for it.
yeah, he's more
Like
successful
he
for
he
it.
is he's second in command, isn't he? He's like, yeah, he's commander.
He takes over the bridge, yeah, when like Ransom's not there and stuff like that. And it's so like, hey, you don't have to be this uptight. You don't have to be this this anxious about everything. If you
Hmm.
just go with the flow and just let yourself go, you'll find that you'll be actually more successful. But then we see where Rutherford, because Tendi left in that reality, deleted Tendi completely from his memory.
Well, it's what we have is we have it where this Rutherford, the reason why he's such an android is that
Mm,
basically when Tendi left, he basically was so heartbroken that he leaned more into the android side and tried to kill off his feelings.
yeah,
So he's basically 90% robot now and 90% like yeah, android now, to the point where he can just delete her out of his memory and then he
yeah.
has no recollection of her. And we just like and there's something so sort of sad about that And then, our Rutherford makes it his mission throughout the episode to basically go, hey, you can have friends, you can live again, kind of thing.
But
And
this is the
he
thing.
does, obviously, I don't know how we're covering this, not scene by scene, but the payoff for that plot line is that basically it's a bit odd because Rutherford does kind of like literally just uh like
They
I don't
both
know,
learn from each other. They
but
both
it's a bit
convert.
I don't know how I feel about it though, because Rutherford literally just opens up the back of the other one's head and then
Yeah.
starts playing around with stuff in order to make him able to sort of be friendly to people and want to be friends with people again. And that seems very intrusive to me. And it's a bit of a weird move that he's just like, okay, because you're a robot, I can do anything to you. And I'm like, we had Measure of a Man for this. But yeah,
Hmm.
but over the course of the episode, because he does this, Robot Rutherford is more receptive to feelings, and then by the end of the episode has, decided to be more human again.
But this is the
But I
thing
don't.
because
It's got a weird taste for me.
our Rutherford is also struggling because he's just constantly finding something to fix. He's trying to keep busy because he
Yeah.
doesn't want to address he doesn't want to address his feelings. He doesn't want to address the fact that he misses Tendi and that he
Mm.
has to deal with that loss in his life. So we see that, because he scares the absolute shit out of Mariner. When he wake up, he's got like 5 o'clock shadow and he's tired and everything like that, and he's like, no, I'm gonna find this. I'm gonna get this fixed. I'm gonna get this fixed.
He has the best line ever, which is like, "I like how the tiredness stops me thinking about the sad stuff." And it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
girl, same.
it's like, yeah, that is, it's very much like relatable. I think the hilarious thing is there's so much of this episode that's relatable. Like it's the fact of,
Yeah,
we get it's quite good because it sets up like we can't talk too much about it. We can't spend too long on it, but it's the with Boimler's plot where Boimler's looking at the bearded Boimler and basically going, wow, he's so successful and he's in
yeah.
magazines and stuff like that. I mean, the beginning of the episode has it with Boimler going through, hey, I was going to be featured in the Starfleet like magazine,
Fleet magazine. Yeah,
and Fleet magazine, and then he's not actually in it. But then Naomi Wildman is, and I'm
she's
just like,
only 10.
yeah, she's only 10. I'm just like, and I was literally just shaking my fists, just being like, Naomi Wildman.
Wildman.
Oh. But it's like obviously a lovely little nod to Voyager in there. But no, but then his plot line is basically sort of realizing, hey, and it sets him up for the series because from what happens in this, where he ends up stealing the personal pad of the other Boimler. So he basically has all access to all of his information and stuff, and he can be like, "Hey, what have you done? What have you, what missions have you been on? What kind of stuff have you done? What interviews have you done in order to try and be like that?" And that sets up Boimler's plot arc for the series, which I thought was quite good.
It really does because we can't obviously give spoilers for the rest of the season. We
Well, no,
only
no,
know,
I
yeah,
guessed that, and then when I watched the second episode, I was like, "Ah, I called it."
yeah.
So like,
Um, it does set it up. The one thing I will say is the overarching plot is not nearly as present in
hmm.
this episode. Um, and
I think that's the
it's
thing, though. I think a
yeah,
lot of like, there's a lot of first episodes in Lower Decks that are like, one-offs where they basically
yeah,
like the one complaint I will have in this is obviously we have the Toltendi thing in
yeah,
this episode, and then it kind of gets kind of quickly resolved early in the series. Like remember when Mariner just went off for
yeah,
ages? Like, when went off, but then they were just back by the end of the first episode, and you're like, oh, that didn't really last very long. And then in
yeah.
this one, it's like spoilers, but Tendy's back by the end of the second episode, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. So but the twist is with the crew, the Cerritos, they are working together to send Prime Cerritos back home, but they are at both are each other's throats. Both crews cannot get along at all. Billups and Billups are beating the shit out of each other, so Shacks and Shacks. And Captain Freeman is sort of like, where is my counterpart? And then she finds out that she's in Starbase 80. And it's just generally like they are, as you said, sick to shit of dimensional multiverse issues, and they're just like, we just want to go home. However, the twist is Becky Freeman, the captain of the alternate Cerritos, commands so much respect, and Mariner's like, why do people respect it? Like, why do people fear you
Yeah.
so much?
Well, also, why are you a captain when that
Yeah,
goes against everything that I am as a person?
yeah,
And then it's like, and she, and then Becky's very much kind of, oh, well, I just needed to grow up and I just needed to sort of like, start doing stuff.
mm,
But then over the course of the episode, we find out that it's the exact opposite, and that there's a twist at the end where Becky basically decides, uh, basically when they're about to, when they've got everything sorted and they're about to go back to their universe, back to their dimension. Uh, other universe Becky basically swaps places with Mariner to go back to that universe, so that she's like, oh, I can't wait to actually be sort of like ruthless and terrible again. What is it? What is it? She says. She says,
she wants to let her hair
what
down,
is it?
essentially. Yeah,
Yeah, I want to stay here and be charmingly insubordinate.
yeah.
And,
But
and
it's
it's actually she's basically gone like, hey, I've become everything I hated
mm,
by leaning into this sort of Starfleet role and whatnot. So it's quite good because we get to see Boimler's universe, like other counterpart, is how he wants to be, and yet Becky's is everything she doesn't. Mariner's is everything she doesn't want to be.
but we see, I mean, especially in episode 2, which we'll get to, that Mariner has learned from that experience and that she
Hmm.
wants to sort of mature in a way and distance herself away from such insubordination that that she's done over the 4 years of Lower Decks and years prior to that. And we see that twist where she is knocked out by the Captain Freeman, Becky Freeman,
Hmm.
and they change clothes and change hair and stuff like that. And she essentially beams over to the Prime Cerritos.
And like Lower Decks, it basically makes it very aware of how tropey this is. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
really? Are we actually doing this?
because that's the thing. Because she is found out because she says something. I can't remember what she says. It's she says something that sort of makes Captain Freeman realize that that's not the real Mariner.
Oh no, it's hilarious. It's literally he calls her mother.
Yeah,
Refers
mother.
to
That's it. Yeah,
refers to mother, and she's just like, "What?" And immediately they just see through it. It's
yeah.
hilarious. And then on the other ship, Mariner basically says "please" to someone, and
Yeah.
then and everyone's like, "What?" You never asked for that. And then I forgot what's the doctor's name.
To Anna. No.
Yeah,
Yeah. To Anna. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. To Anna's just like you said, pleasantries are for shitheads, and, that, and that's how they know that it's not their captain. And
Oh.
it's just and it's really good, and it's the fact that everyone learns from their counterparts. So obviously they send Becky back to the other ship. She gets put in the brig, so it kind of resolves things for them because it means they don't have this dickhead captain anymore, and they can hopefully be a bit nicer. And then Mariner gets over to the other ship and kind of realizes that she's quite lucky to be in the position she is, I guess. But it's good everyone learns from it. Like Rutherford kind of goes, wow, if I lean into my work like I'm doing, I'm eventually going to become a robot like the one in the
Yeah.
other universe. So he basically goes, hey, actually, I'm going to lean out of it and I'm going to have a bit more fun.
Yeah.
Telen doesn't change at all. Like Telen just makes a joke. Uh,
Yeah.
like they're all
Fascinating.
sitting there and then just goes, fascinating. And then they all look at it just like, what? And he's like, I have fooled you.
But the
I think the interesting thing in both these episodes, I love that they're building Telen more because the amount of
yes.
Enterprise episodes we've done, and we talk about how amazing T'Pol is and how amazing the acting on T'Pol is,
Yeah.
where because of how Vulcans are, it's all in the face, it's all in the expressions. But with animation, you can't really do that. You can't really have the nuance that the actresses can actually put in. So I quite like that they're managing to write Telen in a way that has development, has character, has jokes and whatnot, but then is still Vulcan and still cold. It's superbly done.
It's nice to see that she's become a full-time part of the Lower Decks crew as well. So she's on the posters a lot more. She's on the promotional material a lot more. So
Mm.
it's a very welcome addition. But I mean, this episode
Do
ends
you
with
do you think that was intentional, or do you think that was fan response?
probably fan response
Mm.
because she is a field commission, isn't she? So she was sort of drafted in season two, season three. But this episode ends with Tendi delivering this Orion ship from about 300 years ago, where they believe it's like the ultimate warship, and anyone who can retrieve it, they will have complete dominance over the families and everything. But then the twist is that it's actually an Orion science ship.
Mm.
So it's full of scientific research and stuff like that, and it shows that the Orions were not always warlike or pirate like. They were actually scientists and explorers, which sort of plays into Tendi's um,
Yeah.
deepest tendencies as a scientist. However, the cliffhanger is with this, she delivers it, and I'm trying to find what she gets called. Like there's something that she has to do that follows into episode 2.
Oh well, if you, basically what happens is the Blue Orions declare war
That's
because
it. Yes.
well, the whole thing throughout this episode is the fact of what a terrible Orion Tendi is. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
she is not built for this. It's like we talk about like Spock and stuff, where we're like Spock is not a good Vulcan, like in
Mm.
every way, shape, or form, and that most of the episodes are about that, where Tendi is like she is not a good pirate. She has all the moves and everything, but she's far too kind to be a pirate. So obviously throughout the entire episode, she's constantly trying to stop her crew just wantonly murdering everyone they come across and just kind of stealing everything in sight. She's kind of going, "Hey, how about we just don't kill the hostages, and how about we
Mm.
just do the nice things?" Uh, and the fact that she's trying to use Starfleet logic within an Orion space and it just backfires every single time. And throughout the whole episode, all the problems occur. So what happens is one of the Blue Orions gets killed by gets fatally stabbed by
Mm.
one of her crew, and then Tendi secretly, without telling her crew, heals the wound, and then everyone finds out about it. And then the Blue Orions declare war at the end because they're like, "Hang on, you stole that ship from us by doing unpiratey stuff, such as actually helping other people and sort of like healing them and stuff. So it goes against their code of conduct. And so it's like, right, great, you tried to be a pirate and you failed again, and it just keeps hammering home how much she shouldn't be there and she should
Yeah.
be back in
She
Starfleet.
does not. She does not fit in that society and in that culture. She should be where she belongs on the Cerritos. But
Mm.
this leads into the second episode, Shades of Green,
Yeah,
where this is, for me, out of the two episodes, this is the more interesting episode because we lean into an aspect of Star Trek that is not widely seen, where the Cerritos is at a planet that is just given up capitalism. So they are
yay!
transitioning to a post scarcity society. So you see this entire planet like burning cash everywhere, getting rid of capitalism and learning to meditate, and like they transferred the bank into a petting zoo and stuff like that. And I
I
love
love it
it.
though. This is the society I want. This is my dream, my
When
dream utopia.
that scene where they're queuing up at the museum, they're like, "Why are we queuing? Everything's free, yay!" And they're just like going in, but then it's like, the whole planet is in celebration. However, there are still factions that want to cling on to the old ways and feel
Yeah,
like and I'm like, yeah, because if it ever happens, you will still get people like that because it's not about the capitalism; it's about the power in which capitalism
yeah.
gains them, and it's very
Well,
interesting.
this is the thing. It's like you have it where when you have governments who try and sort of go, hey, we're going to try and fix the problems that like capitalism has brought about, and we'll try and sort of make society fairer. But the problem is that making society fairer will always create some people where they have to lose stuff in order for it to balance out. And
Yeah,
then you realize there's massive resistance there. So it's like if you tried to fix the property market, then you would get all these people who own houses in London that are worth like several million pounds when they really, really shouldn't be.
yeah.
But then they're just like, oh, but I've got a mortgage on this for like several, like, million pounds, and you're making it into thousands of pounds now. And it's like, yeah, but you shouldn't really have a building that's worth that much money, like it's that horrible thing of there is no way to solve this without upsetting a lot of people.
Yeah,
So that's kind of what we have here because it's people who all of their power comes from the value of money. So as soon as you take that away or you affect that, then their power is directly affected.
So we see a somewhat of a reversal of roles where we see Mariner taking on more responsibility with
Mm.
the away mission with Boimler, and Boimler's sort of still thinking about his alternate Boimler,
Well,
and
he's
he's
stolen
starting
the
to.
pad.
He's stolen the pad.
He's stolen the pad, so he's reading all of the logs and stuff of his other self, and he's trying to sort of implement the life sort of rules. These what are they called? Like he has advice, but they're called he's called them something
Oh,
else.
yeah,
Pointless,
Bointlers,
like pointers, but pointers.
Bointlers, yeah,
Is it? Yeah. But so
Bointers,
it's basically pointers or but pointers. Yeah. Anyway.
yeah, Bointers.
I didn't get it, but yeah, and he's trying to sort of give them to everyone, and it's a bit annoying as hell, and no one's really taking it on board. But it's the fact that, and he's trying to grow a mustache, but all he's got is this
He's
crappy
trying to go
little
his
sort of.
facial fuzz as well, and it's really hilarious because it's purple. um, but yeah, so it's really interesting to see. Like, this is one thing I love about Lower Decks, where it's not shy about tackling these certain things that people ask about in Star
Mm,
Trek, like the whole second contact that we had a few seasons ago, and then this, where it's just like, hey, how do these cultures actually adapt to the Federation way? Like, how do they get
yeah.
rid of capitalism like that? And it's like, well, it would be celebrated, but it would also be heavily criticized because there would still be people who not only would lose their capital but lose power because of this. And
Mm,
it's really interesting to see how they deal with that because Boimler, who's in charge of a couple of ensigns, has got these pointers and stuff like that, and they don't really give a
yeah.
toss, and they get kidnapped.
Well, what happens is he decides to go. He's basically trying to run the away mission totally
Mm,
fine. He's working them to the bone and whatnot. And Mariner comes along and says, "Hey, you should loosen up like your overworld counterpart, and you should, you should sort of, like slack off kind of thing." And then he's like, "Okay, everyone, have an hour off." And she's like, "Whoa, I didn't actually expect you to do that. Okay, well, let's roll with it." But then after an hour's gone, he comes back and he's like, "Why aren't they here yet? Oh no, they've, I gave them an inch and they've taken a mile." And then where they go looking for them, and then they actually find them actually getting kidnapped by these rich sort of separatists, I guess, or I don't know what they're called, rebels. Uh, and it's hilarious because they basically go, "Hey, I'm requisitioning this sort of like this hover bike in order
mm.
to chase them," and the woman's like, "I don't care, everything's free now. I'll just replicate another one." And it's like that. There we go. That's their society now.
Oh, but when he gets on the bike and he's just like, when he starts to go after him, and he's just like, yeah, you're facing the wrong way. It's like, damn it.
Yeah,
He gets his
it would be super cool if it was that he wasn't
yeah.
pointing the wrong way. But
There is
I have to say, I love this whole plot line though with Boimler and Mariner simply
mm,
because it has the bit where they track them down, they finally get to the actual where the hostages are, and this is Lower Decks to a T. Like this is the most amazing factor of Lower Decks is that it just creates things that only exist very for like one or two scenes, but are
mm,
incredibly memorable. Like
yeah.
like Moopsie, where you just go, you have created this thing that is now in the zeitgeist and is amazing, and will never be mentioned again, probably. And it's the robots, the
Oh, the
robots
gardening
of this rich
robots.
people's mansion. Yeah, and they're all there for like random stuff, like cooking and stuff like that. But then they've decided the owners, because everything's free now, the rich people have decided to just make them guards. So they've just strapped guns to them. Like I don't even think they can fire the guns,
No, they
but
can't.
they've just strapped sort of like AK-47s to them. And they're and the robots are going around and be like, I have no idea what I'm meant to be doing. I'm a gardener. And then they basically get led down to the prison where the hostages are,
Yeah.
and they're basically dead. They're basically like dead on the ground, and the robot's just like, "Oh no, I have failed as a gardener and a guard. I forgot to water them." And it's just like, and he just class. They only have like a couple of lines, and I'm just like, I want to see more of these robot things. They're class, but they're just a one-off.
The well, that's the thing because they think that the away team are dead,
Hmm.
but it's actually no. They faked looking dead because it was one of the pointers that Boimler had gave them. Um,
Yeah.
and it's just yeah,
To,
but
to, to look for local herbs and sort of like
yeah,
things like that. So basically, and they actually like flora and fauna. and they actually found a beetle that like gives you the appearance of death. Oh, what did I write? I wrote it down, didn't I? Yeah, a tie-dye beetle that gives you the appearance of death.
Mm.
I love it.
The
But the thing I love about this is though when they realize that the guys are dead, when they think that the actual kidnappees are dead, the rich people come down and then they're looking in the prison going, oh God, what have we done? Like, what has our gardener robot done? Thinking that they just killed these people. And then the best irony of the whole thing is that like Mariner goes, "Hey, you need to help us. You need to help us get these out of here so we can get them back to our ship, so that we can
Mm.
actually see if we can like heal them." And then instead, the rich people just kind of go like, "No, we don't want to go to prison. We're going to run away and live off to the grid." And you're just like, so you're so scared of giving up all your money by going to prison that you're going to give up all of your money and go
Money.
and live off the grid. And it was I just thought it was just the funniest little sort of like like what is it? What's it called? Biting your nose to spite your face or whatever,
Oh, cutting your nose off to spite your face. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it just felt like that, and I was like, "Yep, that sounds like rich people logic." Like, I
it
just loved it,
really
but yeah,
it really is. The B plot is obviously the war between the Green Orions and the Blue Orions.
yeah,
And they are challenged to a solar race with two
yeah.
solar ships that navigate through an asteroid field to collect a
And
trophy, I think.
these solar ships, are they a callback to DS9? You know, the episode of DS9 we get with the Bajoran sail ship
I
that
would
like
say so. I
Cisco
would
makes.
heavily say so. Yeah, like the solar sails.
So I have a feeling Mike McMahon was just like going, "How do I bring that into lower decks when we have no reason to ever go there again?"
It's really good
I want
though.
solar ships again.
It's really good because we see again Tendi not really fitting in with Orion culture,
Yeah.
where they are doing this race because we find out
Well,
early on.
we missed out a scene. The
Yeah.
earliest scene is basically that um we're getting a wonderful little scene between Dearica and Tendi where they're basically like playing around and they're doing sister stuff and they're bonding. But then Dearica complains of having pains and won't
Mm,
let Tendi scan her for like medical help.
mm,
And then Tendi breaks into her office and checks her personal logs and finds out that she's actually pregnant. And so throughout the whole episode, when they have this really important race that they're both sort of that they need to win because the stakes given on it are whoever wins the race gets to take the riches
yeah.
of the other house, which basically would bankrupt their entire family if they lose this race. And yet Tendi ends up sabotaging it because she's trying to protect the Erica from
Puts her in a
doing so.
sofa and makes
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
else do the work. Yeah.
So the Erica's like, hey, I'm just going to be the captain, and I'm going to pilot the ship and stuff, and I'm going to do all this dangerous stuff, and I'm going to get on the, get outside and start trying to shoot the other ship and stuff. And they go, and Tendy's just like, no, 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 maybe you should just sit down and put your legs up and stuff like that. Uh, and it's one of these things of like, it's weird, but then she's trying to get the crew on board to go, hey, we can't let the captain put herself in danger, but then
Mm.
she can't say why because she believes it's a total secret that she's pregnant and she doesn't want to sort of put it out there. And it's just very awkward that she basically organizes a mutiny on their ship, on the ship against her sister. But they don't want it to be a nasty mutiny. They're going to have a
A
cutiny
cute
instead.
knee.
Which, it's just brilliant. So it's like it's a gentle, supportive mutiny, a cutiny. And it's just like, and obviously Derek is just like, what the hell are you doing? And long story short, it results in the ship crashing. Like it results in
Because the
them
Blue Orions,
them getting
yeah.
shot
Yeah, the Blue
and
Orions
crashing the
attack
ship. And
them.
then they're like, well, we've lost now.
But here's the twist, like the twist is that she's trying to protect Deerica because she's pregnant, but the whole crew know that Erica is
Yeah.
pregnant. And she's like, yes, this is going to be the new mistress of the winter constellation. I am trying to do this to release you from the debt that you have got.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really cute as well because everyone knew that she was pregnant except for Tendi because the
Yeah.
way it works is that as Tendi is the mistress of the winter constellations, if a new daughter is born into the family,
Yeah.
then basically they would get the title instead. And the old one, i.e., Tendi, has an obligation, if they know about it, to then look after that child and raise them up and basically mentor them.
Yeah.
And if over, is it 13 years it says they have to do it? They have to do it the whole sort
18,
of
13,
childhood.
18 years or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But basically, and De'Arica's like, I don't want you to have to do that and be obligated to do that. I want you to go back to Starfleet where you actually want to be. So I wasn't going to tell you about it so that you could just happily go off and do that.
Yeah.
And it's a total miscommunication between all of them and whatnot. But yeah, but hilariously though, Tendi then solves their situation using Starfleet methods, which is her science and wherewithal to basically what do they do? Do they harpoon a comet?
They
Something. It's something
they
weird.
pull yeah they pull the ship out with the asteroid, but then she destroys the actual trophy that they are both going after in the race.
Oh, well, yeah. What they do is they harpoon to a comet. They get ahead of the other ship, and then what they do is they sort of grapple down to the other ship, which is all space magic, I think. If this was Voyager, I would be complaining about how silly the science was, but this we can forgive it because it's lower
It's
decks.
lower decks.
And they get onto the other ship, they manage to steal the actual treasure that would mean that they win the race. And then
Yep.
Tendi, once again messing things up with her Starfleet knowledge, basically goes, "Hey, if I destroy the actual prize, then no one wins, and we both tied, and then no one gets punished." And then it immediately hard cuts to them in front of the actual is it the pirate queen? I think the
Yep.
pirate queen who's immediately like, "You blow it up," and so they end up both getting punished. So both of them get all of their riches stripped from them, which is not the result we wanted.
But they also, I mean, within this episode, there is a tiny little C plot between Rutherford and T'Lyn.
Yeah.
Again, further developing T'Lyn because she can see how Rutherford is still trying to deal with the loss of Tendi on the crew. Because the shuttlecraft that they have in the cargo bay, the Sequoia, he's trying to repair. So T'Lyn tries to be a good friend in the only way that she knows how, where she sees Rutherford struggling with this shuttle, so she
Mm.
goes ahead and attempts to fix it. But
Well,
with her,
she pretends that for her captain exams and whatnot, she needs to actually learn how to fix a shuttle
mm,
pod. So basically, she goes, "Hey, I need your help in order to. Can you show me how to fix this ship?" Kind of thing. And he's like, "Oh, I'm way too busy doing this other stuff," kind of thing. She's like, "Oh well, I will fix it myself." And then he kind of sees what she's doing and just goes like, "No, no, 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 this is mine and Tendy's project. You can't help with this because it's what where she's going to come back and then we're going to work on it together." And then Tallinn actually ends up totally fixing the ship, like
yeah, it's
totally
like
fixing the
brand
ship.
new. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and she's just learned herself. And it turns out that she didn't need to actually learn how to fix shuttles. She just wanted to try and get Rutherford talking and being social again and not being so hung up on Tendi.
but it's one of those where he didn't want to touch it, he didn't want to fix it because it was his
Hmm.
and Tendy's project. So he
Yeah, he was
wanted
doing it slowly.
Yeah, so it's not about fixing the shuttle, it's about spending time with Tendi fixing the
Hmm.
shuttle. It's not exactly getting anything done, it's about having fun being with the
Right.
person that you are with. Um, and Tillin realizes this because when Tendi is released from Orion and it's, beams back to the Cerritos, they walk into the cargo bay and you just see the shuttle in a worse state than it's ever been because she just took the liberty
Yeah.
of dismantling the entire shuttle for them.
He's brilliant though. Like he's literally just got like Brotherhood's like, "Oh no, Tendi, we'll have to find something else to do because the shuttle's been, the shuttle's all
Mm.
been fixed," kind of thing. And then when they go in there, it's absolutely destroyed. And Talon's just on top of it, smashing stuff. And he just has a wonderful scene where he's just got Talon being like, deadpan Vulcan, but then
Mm.
she just sort of deliberately dropped this bit of equipment, and you hear it smash on the ground. And it's just like, and this is what I mean, though. This is how the show beautifully manages to put Vulcans across without the nuance that you would get from an acted performance. It's
Yeah.
Lower Decks is just brilliant. It's like I think the most upsetting thing is that this is the last season, and I genuinely can't think why. That's all. Watching these
Is
first two episodes, that's all that rang through my head. I was like, we need more of this because I'm so happy that we've fleshed out the creators more. We've brought the blue Orions in. We've fleshed out the green Orions more. It's very
It
frustrating.
is incredibly frustrating, and people have pushed for either a new season somewhere else or a Lower Decks movie,
Hmm.
because it's one of those where we are not ready to say goodbye to this crew. Um, Me and Science Officer Synoiz have been very, very lucky to see the first half of this season, and obviously we will not spoil it for anyone.
You have. I haven't watched it yet. I'm still in the. I haven't had enough time to watch these.
But
Thanks for sending them over early.
yeah, I know.
Thanks for sending them over early. I totally haven't watched them yet. Thank you.
Um, but we are very excited for this season and what's to come. If the trailer that we saw
Mm.
before the season came out was anything to go by, it's going to be an absolute belter. I think these were two solid episodes to start off with. Um, See, episode two, I preferred more than episode one. I think episode
Mm.
two was a little bit more engaging for me in terms of dealing with it, because it was interesting because again it taps on something that Lower Decks is very strong at addressing. It's like those tiny little questions that Trekkies have always had, like, hey, how do you deal with a post-scarce, how does a post-scarcity society actually operate
Yeah.
and transition? How do people feel about that? What do they do? How do they adapt to it? And it's really good because Lower Decks just tackles these issues heads on, and they either make a whole song and dance about it or just make one comment and then move on. Like with the whole
But
Mitch
that's it.
McConnell thing last
They,
season.
they ask the questions that we're all thinking. They kind of just go
Yeah,
like, "Hey, like, how do we flesh that out?" And that's what's so wonderful because that's what we need in Trek. Like I keep saying it every time we talk about Lower Decks. It's always the idea of we have these shows like Discovery where they go, "Hey, we can't really. We're get all this law that exists. We're not going to do anything with any of that. We're just going to create new stuff because that makes it easier to write when we can kind of control all the things."
yeah,
And later seasons, it goes like, okay, let's bring some of these factors in and stuff. But then Lower Decks is like, no, no, we have all of this. Why do we need to create new races when we could
exactly.
bring back, the blue Orions from the animated series, or we can flesh out the normal Orions, or we can flesh out this or that. And it wonderfully does that. And it gives us this extra lore for the universe that we all know and love.
It's
But
filling
I
out.
will,
Sorry,
sorry,
go on.
Karen. I just want to say, like, I disagree with you in that I preferred the first episode. The
Mm,
second one, I love the whole, the commentary upon capitalism and the kind of, hey, this is how this kind of thing happens, and like, where you just go, hey, we're suddenly taking a capitalist country, capitalist like planet away from that.
mm.
Where the first one I found funnier. I genuinely found the first episode a lot funnier. The quips and stuff were a lot better because obviously you had Becky being like, "I want to stay here and be charmingly insubordinate," like Telen being like, "I have fooled you." What are some of the other amazing quotes? Yeah, like like the fact that like Tendy's crew were just constantly talking about how much they love killing people. They're just kind of like, "Oh yeah, let's just murder some people and stuff." And then it turns out over the course of the episode that like actually they're only being like that because they're expected to be like that as pirates, but actually they all want to go on and have other jobs. And
Yeah.
and then it literally just has an amazing line, which is what is it? Just like I love not killing people. And it yeah, it's just there's so many good one-liners in it. Like it's what is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's got like Boimler versus sort of bearded Boimler, and he's just like, okay, cool, cool, cool. So could you just guide me through every decision you've ever made
Yeah.
in order to get to here? And he's just like, I'm sorry, I've written down all the things. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. With the Orion crew when they realized that Tendy's healed the Blue Orion captain, they all turn on her, and then I think one of them, they got the knives out, and they're just like, "I'm a very accurate stabber." And she's like, "Oh, maybe you stabbed him in a non like crucial artery." And she's like, "Nope, I'm a very accurate stabber." It's just yeah, don't you give me that sarcastic Vulcan salute? Like the writing is just absolutely phenomenal. It is
Yeah.
the you know it's on par with Strange New Worlds for the best writing that we have in Trek at the moment. It is
Yeah,
absolutely phenomenal, and I can't wait to see more of this season. And it makes me very sad that this might be the last we get of Lower Decks, but
it
hopefully the
might
team that
be.
do this will move on to other things and bring
Yeah,
that quality of work across to it.
it might be for now, but until then,
Just
this is
realized the argument between the two commanders, where they're both sort of like the same person, where they're calling each other like "you sexy bastard," "you steamy hunk."
I get to push the
They
button, you
hate,
sexy bastard.
yeah, so they hate each other, but they're still gonna fully remind each other how sexy they are. And it's just like going, "This is." Although the problem is, I thought he said "you steamy honk," and I was just like, "What?" And I think it's this idea where obviously if you're gonna name the bar that we have on the ship, then I've got to
Yeah,
name something on the ship the steamy honk, whether
the
it's the engines
steamy
or the motor.
honk. The holodeck.
There we go. That's the steamy honk.
Oh
But yeah,
my
it's
god.
but no, absolutely amazing episode.
Guys, that has been our whistle stop, shall we say, review of episode 1 and 2 of the final season of Lower Decks. What did you guys think of these first 2 episodes? We want to see your comments below on this video.
Mm.
What did you like? What didn't you like? We want to
What was
know.
your favorite quote? What was your favorite quote from the episode? Because, like I say, there were so many great one-liners in this. I personally want you to comment on this video on whatever medium you're watching it on, even if you're listening to it. I
Mm,
think you can comment on Spotify and stuff now. I don't know.
I
If you
think
can,
you
then
can.
either way, I don't know. Write it on a note, tie it to a rock, strap that rock to a pigeon, throw that pigeon at a mailman, push that mailman into a post box, and I don't know.
Stamp it.
Ooh, yeah, stamp on that postman
Yeah.
and tell him where to take his body. Yeah, there we go. Tell him where to walk to after he gets out of the post box. Yeah, do that. But tell me your favorite quote from the episode.
If you liked this video, please click that like button. If you are not a subscriber to Nerdy Up North, what are you doing? Click that subscribe button because Nerdy Up North does so much content. It is unbelievable. We have just announced
It
that we will
really
be
is.
doing a 12-hour charity stream where Paul and Sammy will be reviewing a movie every hour for 12 hours straight because apparently they hate sleep, they hate food, but they love to donate a lot of money to charity. So please go check that out on the 24th of November. We recently just had the Monsters Up North quiz at Geek Retreat in
Yeah.
Sunderland, which I heard was a raging success.
It was a great success, but I will confess it was a misstep on my part because I was the one who organised the quiz and everything, and I forgot that it was on the same day as not only a big Sunderland home match, but also on the day of NCM Comic Con. So
Oh,
basically, like Newcastle Comic Con. So it was this sort of thing of we're like, oh, okay, everyone's at Comic Con, okay. So we still had great numbers. We had a great time. It was so fun having Sammy from Monsters Up North as a co-host. It was great coordinating with the wonderful Dan from Bleeding Marvelous. Because that's the thing. Because obviously, Monsters Up North. If you haven't watched it, do because it's always
absolutely.
hilarious seeing these two amazing sort of horror fans bantering on about these amazing topics, and then basically sort of getting to know Dan a little bit because me and Jessica from Nerdy Up North went down to For the Love of Horror last weekend in Manchester. And we got to meet Dan for the first time. We actually got to meet Dan in person and hang out and stuff like that and check out the Bleeding Marvelous stall, which was amazing. And it was quite good coordinating with her properly in order to get her involved in the quiz because we knew that she wouldn't be able to come up to actually be part of it. But on the day, we had Sammy and we were just having a lot of laughs with her. So hopefully it's something we can do, and hopefully we can have more collaborations between the Nerdy Up North shows and the quiz. I mean, I'm desperately trying to get a Gigs Up North one. I desperately want to have it where we have like me and Kirsty hosting, and then we have Adam with a guitar plugged in, and
Oh,
basically,
a
and
live
we have
band.
Yeah, we have a whole round where it's basically, okay, tell us what this theme tune is from a famous, like, sort of nerdy thing. And then we just get like Adam just to riff it away and just be like, okay, there
Oh,
you go. That's what I want to do because he's going to be in his element. Me and Kirsty are going to be in ours and stuff. We can have a whale of a time. So, but probably not this year, but sometime next year we're going to do
General Kirky, Adam, make it so. We need that. But yeah, our friends that follow Trekking Up North, you can find them all in the links in the description below. Clone Stars, search for Trek Culture. They are all down there. Please make sure that you follow the Velvet Snatch. The links are all in the description. As we've mentioned, Adam Astridge Music, who did the amazing cover of Star Trek Voyager, his links are in the description below, so make sure you go and follow them. We will
Actually,
be...
you know what was amazing? Adam was there at the quiz. Adam came along to the quiz. He was there at the wonderful after party that we put on at Spacebar, and it was wonderful seeing him again because he doesn't come out that often, kind of thing. Well, he doesn't
He's a
come out
beautiful
properly,
tree.
but that's my disappointment.
He's a
But
beautiful tree.
he's a beautiful dude. Actually, he bumped into a mate of his who was taller. His
What?
yeah, he had a mate there who was also a massive sort of 6'9" Viking. And we were just like, this is so freaky. It was just everyone else in the room was just like, who are these gods? But it,
Why are
it
they
was incredible. But
clouds?
anyway, you have a wonderful announcement to make as well because a certain person is returning to Twitchy streams, I believe.
Yes. Wow, on the spot. Yes, I am returning to Twitch, to two channels. The Search for Trek, where I will be playing retro Star Trek games for you lovely folk. I am starting with Star Trek Voyager Elite Force, voiced by
Oh.
Tim Russ, no less. And then, yes, Captain Goodwill also has his own Twitch channel now, where
I followed them. I followed them all today.
Cousin Truckwill and Cousin Gothwill and Cousin Farmwill maybe making an appearance every now and then. I don't know where I'm going to find the
I
time to do
can't
this.
wait. It was my favorite thing with gaming up north. Like just the Goodwill family, the Will family was just like so it's so dumb. You have such a knack
they
for Twitch and being an absolute idiot, and I love it.
they will be coming back very soon, so be sure to check all of my socials. I'm also on the Ticks and the Talks now as well. I'm on the Tick and the Talk, and I've made some rather inappropriate posts already, so I might be banned
Oh
soon.
God.
But no, so we will be back to review episode 3. We won't give you a time scale because we are
Hey,
incredibly busy.
it's ludicrous, man. Like what has happened this year? Like I was literally like, oh, when mixed drag is over, I'm going to be free to do other stuff, and I'll be
Nope.
back to normal. I'm like, nope. Nothing has slowed down. It's just got worse. And
It's
then
got
you're just like
incredible.
going, oh well. Once we've got Search for Tech out the ground, off the ground, it's all going to sort of even out. And now you're like, nope, everything's on fire.
But
Like everything's absolutely crazy.
I am incredibly thankful for Mike and Shaw from Clone Star because they've
Yeah.
given me opportunities that I would never have been able to get. So on top of reviewing Lower Decks for Trekking Up North, I will also be interviewing the episode's directors each week
Which
for
is
Clone Star.
absolutely good. And obviously, Clone Star is amazing. We had such a good time with Mike in Las Vegas. It's like they are great people, those two.
So make sure that you follow them. But that is it for this week's Trekking Up North. I would like to thank my delicious Geesian Science Officer Synoiz for attending. Don't pull that face, it looks like you're passing wind.
Maybe I am.
Maybe I am.
But I am passing wind.
Until the next time we see you, my lovelies, I want you all to stay safe, look after each other, and as ever on Trek It Up North, Miles.
Miles, you blew it
Miles!
up.